Just wait a second. Okay.
People in live, I know that all the people don't have the final version of compendium, but my lucky finance commission almost have the this version until last GA. So chapter 12, 13, mostly about conferences and sales regulation, they are still missing, but we have voted for them as well. We are just making the layout, and the final compendium will be shared among all network. But so far, I have shared this with my finance commission, so you can go through the most important stuff, membership criteria, financial model, all those things you can go through. So initially, since this is mostly for finance people, we'll start from what is under finance. So we can have more time in that section, but then we'll go through the rest of the parts as quickly as possible, depending on the time we have. So we'll start from finance part. So it should be in chapter 6, I guess, membership criteria mostly. Yeah, chapter 5. Chapter 5 from the beginning, from chapter 5. So you can take 1 minute and read, or else we can read all together.
Whole chapter in 1 minute?
No, just the first page. Just like 5.1.
Oh my God.
You can't read that fast?
No.
Okay, no, I'll read them, then you can hear it. You can read later on once you go home. Okay, so it is
It's all fine by me.
it is basically the membership criteria outlines the minimum responsibilities to be fulfilled by an entity to achieve a full right member status. Fulfilling these responsibilities and therefore being full right member grants the entity voting rights in the General Assembly regarding Chapter 3. So Chapter 3 discusses about your voting rights, and so the membership criteria, the fulfillment of these criteria will eventually help you to be a full member. And not fulfilling these eventually help you to be a member invalid or someday disbanded. I hope it won't happen for any LC. So the next one, membership criteria can be reached only by LCs. In case an expansion reaches the necessary exchange criteria and reaches all the membership criteria, it will be considered an LC at the first eligible review. So those criteria is for LCs, but right now in ISAC and Belgium, we don't have expansions. But in future, we will be having expansions, or maybe LCs will have to downgrade it as expansions if they're not fulfilling the criteria. So, but whenever these expansions fulfill those criteria, even they are for LCs, those expansion will automatically will upgrade it as a LC in the very upcoming General Assembly or member review. Did you get that point? Yeah. Okay. So, ISAC in Belgium has two types of membership: full right members and members in alert. Full right members are the LCs who fulfill all membership criteria stated in 5.4. Member in alert are those LCs who did not fulfill the membership criteria stated in 5.4 by review of the membership subcommittee. So these criteria is mostly tracked by Jeremy, our membership subcommittee chair. So in case if you guys are not fulfilling any of those criteria, you will be degraded as a member in alert. And still, if you are not fulfilling those criteria by being in the member in alert, as you will be disbanded eventually. So if an LC is being a member in alert for more than 12 months, on the very next GA will be included an automatic disbandment motion for the LC. The LC has the right to present a report before voting procedure. So that's it. You can only stay on 12 months in member in alert. That's mostly the same way of the situation I explained in the morning with my own LC, which was in a very huge loss, where we had to make it positive in order to applying the next member review to be a full LC, because we were in a member in alert. So if we couldn't fulfill that, automatically it will be disbanded. So that is like the process in ISAC. So now we have our own compendium for ISAC in Belgium. So this will be same for here as well. Okay. And then timeline, the membership criteria, deadlines and evaluations are done each year by the membership subcommittee, and the deadlines for each criteria are the following manner. The general timeline with all deadlines and reviews with a minimum of 2 and maximum of 3 reviews have to be communicated at the first national board each MC term. the first GA happens in Q1, August, September, October of the MC term. So our first GA is yet to happen. It will happen ideally in first week of September, or maybe during the conference sometimes if you don't have time.
Mhm.
A deadline that is not in the presented timeline should be a deadline that is not in the presented timeline should be communicated at least 3 weeks in advance. The criteria that was missed for which article 5.2.1.1 or 5.2.1.2 were not respected does not impact membership of an entity. Ongoing criteria that are missed have direct impact on the membership status until the next review by which the LC needs to fulfill the criteria. Membership criteria are tracking, this is how it's happening. Information needs to be uploaded on the knowledge management, data storage, cloud that is being used by ISEC in Belgium. The respective fault is communicated by the membership subcommittee chair to the LCPs and LEPs. The membership subcommittee, the MC, LCPs and LEPs always need to have access to the folder. I don't know, as LCP finances, you have access to this folder yet? No, right? Are you aware about this type of a folder?
What information are we talking about? Financial information?
This
No.
I mean, this storage includes all the information. This is what actually managed by Jeremy, membership subcommittee chair. This is where LCPs have to submit all the documents to this folder.
Okay.
So that is how he tracks that. For example, one criteria is that you are registered in Monte, Belgium. So to prove that, you should have a document. That document should be uploaded into this folder that is maintained by Jeremy, membership subcommittee chair. So that is how he tracks when the document is by each criteria, and he checked on the folder whether the document related to that specific criteria is uploaded in that folder. That is how he tracked. I'm not sure whether that access is there for finances now, right? So maybe that is by LCPs. But I'll show you that folder as well when we are discussing about budgets. I'll show it from my laptop. So that is it. So there is a folder existing like that where LCP is uploading all the stuff. Okay. And when it comes to MC side, there's a folder maintained by AI with the names of all the countries. So MCP usually upload all the documents and ISEC in Belgium in that AI folder. So that is how AI tracks the membership. So it is like same way we are doing for the entities here. Documents and files that are not uploaded in the correct folder on review deadline are considered as missed criteria. MC provides on a regular basis inputs when it comes on the ongoing membership criteria and updates the status once 5 and 10 days before the deadline. So for example, about financial deadlines, I'll be reminding you guys. So other deadlines which LCPs mostly have to fulfill, Miriam will be reminding the LCPs. So then LCP should actually track all the other LCVPs, whether they are submitting all those documents. For example, deadlines include the number of exchanges as well, not only finance criteria, not only the registration and the legal aspect, but the exchange numbers as well, which are fulfilled by other VPs. So all these fulfillment of criteria is responsibility of all EB actually. So it is responsibility of the LCP to track their LCVPs, whether they are submitting those documents and to upload them in this folder. For example, if SONA is a membership criteria, there are questions for all the LCVPs under SONA. So it is LCP's responsibility to track other LCVPs, whether they are filling those questions under. So it is not only up to LCP or LCVP finance and legal to track those things. It is actually a responsibility of all EB. But as finance or legal people, it's our responsibility as well to remind people, at least remind LCP about membership criteria that review is coming up. Did you follow up on this? Did you upload those documents? Maybe we can support them by at least reminding. Okay. And then network responsibility. The criteria stated in the following section of the compendium are tracked by MC. So these criteria, you should have these things. It's better to keep in mind, like rather than referring to compendium all the time. These are like very important criteria. But again, most of these should be tracked by LCPs as well, apart from the finance part that comes after this. But it's better to have like these things in your mind. One member present at each national conference is being tracked on a 6-month period previous to the review, and it concerns all conferences stated in the section 12 of the ISAC in Belgium Compendium, section of national conference organized abroad. The presence is tracked at the moment of the roll call opening plenary and at closing plenary. There needs to be at least one member present at each of these moments. Okay. So when it comes to conferences, the conference cycle is not included in this version, but it will be there in the next version. I'll send you guys. So as I said, the first conference will be happening on September, and then November, the next one, and February, and then in April. So for those 4 conferences, it is compulsory to send in members because it is a membership criteria now. And then the SONA needs to be filled in before the submission deadline. The SONA should be sent to the LCs to be filled out at least 21 days before the deadline. The SONA is considered submitted if all the documents required are being sent within the deadline. The SONA is usually sent by MCP to LCPs, and then they are filling this report. But as I said, it includes questions for mostly for all the LCPs. So it is all EB's responsibility to support LCP to fill SONA, and then it's LCP's responsibility to submit it within the deadline to MCP. Presence at every General Assembly is being tracked on a 6-month period previous to review and consists in every LC being represented at every General Assembly from the LC roll call until the closing motion. The LC is considered represented if it is represented by one of the administrators published in the Monitor Badge, by another member empowered with a proxy from one of the legal administrators. Okay, so don't miss any GS. It's like very simple criteria to be fulfilled, but there are times in the past that I know people have missed even this criteria by not sending people for General Assembly. This is like very basic and simple criteria. So just make sure when LCP is not presented, you might proxy LCP. So just make sure in those occasions to send someone or come by yourself for GS. Presence at every national board meeting is being tracked on the 6-month period previous to the review and consists in every LC being represented for 90% of the agenda, excluding legislation and connection time of the national board meetings of ISAC in Belgium. The LC is considered represented if it is represented by one of the administrators published in the Monitor Badge or by another member empowered with a proxy from one of the legal administrators. Okay, it's like same as General Assemblies. You need to send someone for national board meetings as well. But this is specifically for LCPs, but if LCP is not presented, you need to send someone. One member part of a national or international team is being tracked on a 6-month period previous to the submission deadline. The review is based on LC of origin up to 1 year for the members, and it applies for the following cases: National Support Team, National LOCs, Culture NY for Exchange Development Leaderships, all national subcommittees and national MC Selection Committee, as stated in the section 4.4 of the ISAC in Belgium Compendium. Members need to be active in the subcommittee to be counted. Task Force, ISAC International Global Roles, like Global Support Team. So you need to make sure your members are applying to one of these things. So we had, as I said, application open for national LOCs, but nobody applied. But in the next round, we are hoping people to apply, and we are going to open national support team applications pretty soon. So sending people for those things is a membership criteria as well now. So you need to make sure that somebody is applying from your LC.
So if you don't find anyone in your LC that wants to do any of these, then you're not a member anymore.
Yeah, then you will choose membership because it's a membership criteria. At least to any of these. But finding a person all of a sudden to a global support team not be possible because it takes some effort to get into global support team. But you can easily send people for national losses.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
other tasks, leaderships, those are not that easy things to. So make sure you need to send people at least one of these things. Otherwise, if you don't find any member, then you are going to lose the membership. Okay. Then performance criteria. This is mostly for exchange VPs. 10 exchanges in total is being tracked on a 1-year period previous to the submission deadline. In case the required performance hasn't been achieved in the 1-year period previous to the submission deadline, and the LC loses this criteria until reaching the criteria in next review. It is only being measured via the global information system of ISEC International. The number increases automatically every 18 months in case it was not up for the review with 15% rounding upwards. So this is mostly for exchange VPs to achieve their exchange targets that will be tracked on MCVPs related. They are related to MCVP. Then fill in the national exchange and the CRM tracker is being tracked on a multi-period and up for a review as communicated by the membership subcommittee. The LC loses the criteria in case it has not been fulfilled. We have finances, legal and governance criteria, which is for us. The first one, 5.4.9. Paying the MC fee accordingly to the financial model is being tracked in every communicated review period. It means that by the review, every LC has to have paid the outstanding MC fees unless an arrangement has been made with finance and legal responsible of the MC. MC fee is in the membership criteria, so it is anyway fulfilling by all the LCs, so it is fine. And as then 5.4.10, LC is officially registered as an SBL VZW, an organization like this. Is tracked in the first review. In case the required criteria hasn't been achieved before the submission deadline, and there's loses this criteria, it may be regained at the next membership review. That means you lose the membership registered, right? Within the first month, I think you have to do it. So you are already registered so far. So this is done. But when you're in transition to your successor, make sure you're communicating this stuff properly. Then 5.4.11, LC-EB is officially published in the Monitor Badge. Is tracked in the first review. In case the required criteria hasn't been achieved before the submission deadline, and the LC loses this criteria, it may be regained at the next membership review. The criteria is considered fulfilled in the publication of change of executive board from the website of Monitor Badge is updated on the folder within the deadline. However, be prolonged by the membership subcommittee if the LC gives an official proof that the necessary documents were sent in time. Okay. As you see, this is anyway the processes you guys are doing, but this is already done for your term, so it is fine. LC plan is tracked in the first review. The official planning framework has to be uploaded. You are aware about the LC plan, right? You have the LC plan with you all? You have. You all has? You do? Tangi and
Yes.
Future have to look
I
it up.
think, or LCP.
LCP should have it, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's okay.
Yeah. But since it's under finance, it's better to just remind at least LCP or take it and keep it with you guys before the deadline of membership review. Because in case if LCP don't go through these criteria, assuming that you will go, then you might miss that. So since it's under finance, just make sure LCP has it at least, or take it to you, keep it with you as well as a copy. And then 5.4.13, financial information is tracked in the first review. In case required criteria hasn't been achieved before the submission deadline and the LC loses this criteria, it may be regained at the next membership review. The following needs to be uploaded in the folder: realized budget of the previous term, planned budget of the term by the given template of the year from MCVP Finance and Legal. So you guys have the realized budget already with you, right? Tangi has, Ayur has. And budget template is you have the template, so you just have to submit those two documents probably in September when we have the member review. Then 5.4.14 LC compendium is tracked in all reviews and has to be uploaded in the folder. If the compendium was not changed in the last 6 months, a note has to be present next to the link stating that that is the latest version. The LC compendium must be aligned with the national compendium. So all three of you have compendiums, LC compendiums, right?
Mhm.
I know Luan is making it currently. And yeah, please make sure this part that if it is not updated, you have to submit a note with that link that this is the latest version. Because always you have to upload the latest version of the compendium to the folder. So in order for us to make sure it is the latest version, you will have to submit this note. I'll read that again. LC compendium is tracked in all the reviews and has to be uploaded in the folder. Compendium was not changed in the last 6 months. A note has to be present next to the link stating that this is the latest version. So when you're uploading the compendium to the folder, you have to make sure you submit a note as well.
Mhm.
Then 5.4.15, BOI output is tracked in all reviews. In case the required criteria hasn't been achieved, this criteria, it may be regained at the next membership review. The LC has to upload in the deadline a document with the agenda and the minimum 3 participants of Board of Advisors meeting on the folder. In order to be valid, this document has to be signed by the participants. This document so far you guys are not uploading, I guess, because the folder is not shared with you. Maybe SCP is uploading this, but all these things under finance criteria, you need to make sure those are submitted into that folder. Access to that folder as well. Right? I'll ask Jeremy to give access to all LCP Finance Commission because these things should be fulfilled by us. For example, for MC1, the BOA meetings we have, I submit all those documents. So the other criteria, the 5.4.16, the consolidated reporting, GFB, is part of membership criteria and it needs to be submitted 4 times a year. The LCs will receive the tool from the MCVP Finance and Legal in advance and will receive a guidance in the process. So 4 times in the year is when we have GFP quarterly report. But in the next GA, I think we will need to change this clause to monthly. Since we have to move to monthly basis from February anyway. So it's better to include it in the compendium as soon as possible. So you guys will have to, since you all are okay with that, okay, right? With submitting it monthly basis, it will make your life easy as well. You don't have to like dig back into deep and see what transaction happened in like 2 months back and fill it again. So you can just submit the monthly report and that's done. So this will be changed most probably within the next GA itself as 12 times a year in monthly basis, not quarterly basis. Then 5.4.17, the LC will have been audited by the internal audit subcommittee at least once per calendar year after having received a request by internal audit subcommittee. So far, you so that is about membership criteria. Yeah, we completed chapter 5. That is like the most important chapter for all membership and especially for finances.
Mhm.
Just go through the finance part again, like 2 times, 3 times at least, and just those points in the head, even without looking at the compendium. only those points. I'm not asking you to go through whole compendium and make sure you know all the chapters. You're taking notes to go through compendium. Taking notes to go through compendium.
Yeah.
It really says go through compendium 3 times.
Go through the. You need a break, or shall we?
No,
Let's
it's okay.
Do you need a break?
Yeah.
It's clear, right? Membership criteria.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy.
Mhm.
It's easy, but we don't have 9 full member LCs. That means it's not easy.
Yeah, but the criteria
easy.
are easy.
Yeah, criteria are easy.
It's hard to get.
yeah. Maybe not to fulfill them, but
For example, sending monthly reports is easy, but sending it before the deadline every time is that's it.
I forgot it already once.
The first time
Yeah, the first time.
after a good start.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there can be a situation that you miss this, not intentionally, but
I sent it immediately after you emailed me.
yes. Yeah. But that monthly report was not in the compendium as membership criteria. But once we change this, even you send like an email soon after, it won't be effective.
Mhm.
Because when it's under membership criteria, once we include that this as not as 4 times per year as monthly basis, when it is in compendium as membership criteria, even you send the email to me, it won't be effective because Jeremy will be decided whether this will be a full member or not. Yeah, but this are easy. You can make sure these criteria are fulfilling. It's not that hard.
If something just because it happened to me the last time, if something goes wrong, you have to email Jeremy to
I don't think
or you.
emails might not. You just have to email the what.
So just if something happens, and like last time I was too late, and I sent you an email. It's not we lose our membership.
For us, we lost it once. Because
Even like when your
because we missed the
computer broke.
GFP deadline
Same.
last year.
What?
But you wouldn't be that though.
I think again this time also there are some issue with Savana submission. So this time
Oh yeah.
I think Jeremy is discussing that later on.
No, it's okay. It's
yeah.
okay.
So
So, but just like when your computer broke or something, what happens then?
but when it comes to compendium, you can't like because this is voted with all the LCPs after going through a lot of processes. And this year, this is even the LCPs who created this compendium. Like after 4 or 5 years, then they are not the LCPs who created this. So these people actually could not have any excuse. But even in the future, it is same. You could not have any excuses when it comes to compendium because it is voted. So this is like the something even higher than MCP law. We all are governed by compendium, so we need to make sure we are adhering to all those clauses. For example, I can tell during my MC term, there was one expansion. We had these membership criteria for expansions as well. They couldn't submit one. That's a financial report. That tells you that OEVP was in hospital. She was admitted there, but she couldn't submit it on the deadline. So they sent it as an excuse, but we couldn't do anything. Now we degraded them as an initiative group. We have 3 stages there: initiative group, official expansion, member in other, full member. So they were official expansion, and now they are initiative group. In August, they're having the membership review. They can because it is LCP's responsibility if LCP finance is not there to get that document and to submit somehow, or prior to the deadline, maybe they can send something. I know there can be practical situation that you are so sick and you can't send. So then you can say, no, it is in compendium. And as far as you are alive, you need to send this somehow. We can't with that truth, even when there is a document. So maybe prior to the deadline, LCP can maybe talk with Jeremy and still can submit the details. LCP has until now all the documents. If you are maintaining a tracker like daily transaction, he can take out, maybe not in the same format, he can just submit the information. Then myself and with NSTs, we can work on and prepare the report for you. So that is something we can do. But after the deadline, it is not going to be work. But before the deadline, if there's any issue that you are sick or something, very practical reason, then LCP maybe can send all the relevant numbers to MC and say this person is not well, so please prepare this for us or something. That way you can. Otherwise, yeah, it's not going to be that crude.
That was just a question, so I know. Yeah, I was just wondering.
Yeah. So LCPs, if you are watching the live stream even later on, just make sure it is your responsibility as well. Then the organizational development model. The OD model of ISAC in Belgium will start taking effect on 1st of February 2018. As soon as you guys say goodbye to your time, the OD model will be implemented. But since you are going to be in the next MC, you might have to work with this. You don't need to be MCVP, finance and legal. There are many roles. Maybe 3 of finances might end up in MC. We never know. 2, 3, 4. In my MC, yeah, when I was in LC, we had 4 LCs. So 2 LCVP finances separate, and myself and one from another LC. We both were in the MC. We both were LCVP finances. If I was the LCVP for expansions. So you don't have to be specifically MCVP finance. We have more roles. So who knows, maybe all 3 of you or someone from the commission will be in the MC. So OD model will be important still for you guys. I really believe you guys will apply, so don't break my hopes.
I don't know if I'm in Belgium still, so.
Okay, MC Netherlands.
Yeah.
SAP Belgium has 4 different entity definitions as described in the organizational development model. Every existing body or entity of ISAC in Belgium is in full correspondence with Belgian law within the bounds of ISAC way, the ISAC experience and global brand. Local committee. A local committee of ISAC in Belgium is local established organization in full correspondence with Belgian law within the bounds of ISAC way, the ISAC experience and global brand. An entity becomes an LC after having achieved the procedures in line with the membership criteria and reaching the first cluster within the organizational development model. Expansion. An expansion is a newly stated entity developing into becoming a local committee under the responsibility of the MC. An expansion can open following the procedure as described in Chapter 7 and can only follow the responsibilities as described in this OD module. An expansion is in full correspondence with Belgian law within the bounds of ISAC way, the ISAC experience and global brand. Extension. An extension is a unit under the responsibility of an LC that can run all the products and is an entity developing into becoming a local committee. So extension is like a very, very small entity that is governed by LCs. LC can apply to handle one extension. If you see any potential entity that we can start ISAC, LC can tell that we can handle this entity and start ISAC there. So it will be working under LC. But LC needs to be in cluster 1, I guess, because LC that can run all products means that that should be in cluster 3. From cluster 3 onwards only you can run all the products. That will be explained in the next page. So not that even all the LCs can have extensions, but the well-performing entities that are in cluster 3 or above can have extensions. An extension has a separate account under the name of the responsible LC, but has no published legal status. Only cluster 1 LCs have the right to start an extension. Yes. not even cluster 3. In cluster 1, you have rights to all the products only, you can have extension. So that means you are like fully established with all your products. You don't have market within ULCs to grow anymore. Then you can search for a new market outside ULC and take it as an extension. So you can send people for OGV internships from different universities. So that is the main purpose behind this extension. Specialized unit. A specialized unit is an entity under the responsibility of an LC or MC that can run usually one ISEC product on a very specific market. A specialized unit cannot become LC as it has no separate bank account or a published legal status. Only cluster 1 LCs or the MC have the right to start a specialized. A specialized unit is in full correspondence with Belgian law within bounds of ISEC way and the ISEC experience and global brand. Then the OD model. The organizational development model consists of the following different parts that can be sent up for review by MCP and PVPOD or any OD related committee. The ambition is the direction which ISEC in Belgium tends to grow towards in the official organizational development model. The explanation of the OD model in the context of ISEC in Belgium and Belgium. The creation process of the organizational development model. Our broad path looking into clusters, product tiers, criteria, and channels for execution. The growth model strategies and LC structures. The overview of LCs in each cluster after the review period. MC national strategies overview. This might not be so clear when you are reading it the first time, but don't worry. It will be familiar when the model is implemented actually. By reading only about OD model, you can't get so familiar with the concept, but still you can figure out what is going to happen after this model is implemented in February. Organizational development review. The OD model of ISEC in Belgium has 2 review periods in which the OD responsible communicates to the national plenary the state of each LC. Period is on the 1st of August and the second review is on 1st of February, in line with the start of the MC and LC terms. In case an LC meets the criteria of a higher cluster, then the LC will jump clusters and operate under the responsibilities of that higher cluster as defined by the latest OD model booklet. In case an LC does not meet the criteria of its current cluster, then the LC will drop clusters and operate under the responsibilities of that lower cluster as defined by the latest OD model booklet. Exchange results from extensions and expansions are not counted towards the total amount of exchanges per product during a review period. Adaptations. Every year after planning and replanning, the OD responsible of ISEC in Belgium communicates the adaptations to be presented to the national plenary and to go in effect the following review period after the voting procedure. And as it remains in the same product tier or does not increase their exchange numbers within a period of 18 months, they will automatically be subjected to a 15% increase in the minimum tier requirements. This change will be reflected in the membership criteria. Clustering systems. We're in the same slide. Okay, so it is starting from cluster 5. Have you seen this model before? Okay. Then it's not new. So yeah, as a cluster 5 entity, you can do only OGV. And then if you have OGV in tier 3, then you will be shifted into cluster 4. And if you have 2 products in tier 3 and 1 product in tier 2, you are in cluster 3. In cluster 3, you can do you have access to IGT as well. As cluster 5 and cluster 4 entities, you can't do IGT, only OGV.
It's not, and it's 4, right? So 1 into
Yeah. So
this one or that one.
Just two products in tier 3 or 1 product.
Okay, yeah.
Otherwise, you can't have 3 products. Yes, cluster 2, again 2 products in tier 2, or 1 in tier 1 and 1 in tier 3. and then cluster 1, one in tier 1, one in tier 2, one in tier 3, or else 2 products in tier 1. So let's see who will be in cluster 1.
No one.
So yeah, right now I think no one will be,
Mm-mm.
but let's see who will achieve that milestone. That will be cluster 1 as soon as possible. And depending on the cluster where you are, again, it's not easy to remain in these clusters as well because criteria depend with the clusters as well. So after getting into high clusters, the requirements you have to fulfill will be tougher as well. So there are 5 LC clusters in ISAC in Belgium that are defined based on the organizational health criteria and exchange criteria. Yes. So let's see about cluster 5. Entity is not allowed to host any national activities unless the application for hosting national preparation seminars for exchange is approved. The entity cannot run engagement with ISAC products as defined by the ISAC experience unless mandatory by ISAC international policies. The entity can only run outgoing global volunteer product in case this product does not exist in the future. It will be the product most close to volunteering internships. It is a registered legal entity. So cluster 5 entity also should be a registered legal entity. That means they have to be a LLC as well. And they only can run OGV. They can't do any youth speak forums or any events like that. Engage with ISAC products, CWA products. They can't run anything on the cluster 5. And when it comes to cluster 4, the entity is allowed to host national activities that are open for application, with the exception of national conferences. The entity can run engagement with ISAC products if approved by the MC. The entity can run one more additional experiential leadership development products as defined in the ISAC experience. Okay, there you can even host events like if you are willing to have in mind events like used before, you have option to try those things in cluster 4. You are not limited to OGV there, you can try things. And when it comes to cluster 3, the entity is allowed to host any national activities that are open for application, including national conferences. The entity can run all engagement with ISAC. Any entity in cluster 3 is obliged to present at one regional or international conference delivered by AI. So when you are moving on clusters, it is not easy. You need to fulfill those things as well. And cluster 2, the entity is allowed to host any national activities that are open for application, including national conferences. The entity can run all engagement with ISAC products. Any entity in cluster 2 is obliged to have been present and be present at one regional or international conference delivered by AI. The entity is allowed to run large projects when assigned by MC. It's mostly similar as cluster 3, but you can run more projects specifically. Cluster 1, the entity is allowed to host any national activities that are open for application, including national conferences. The entity can run all engagement with ISAC products. An entity in cluster 1 is obliged to have been present and be present at one regional or international conference delivered by AI. The entity is allowed to run large pilot projects when assigned by MC. The entity is allowed to start specialized unit, needs MC approval after presenting strategies to open. The entity is allowed to start one extension unit at a time until it grows out to become an LC. Needs MC approval after presenting strategies to open. Additional benefits from cluster 2 to cluster 1 is to get the chance to specialized unit or extensions.
This cluster system, is it the same in all countries?
Not exactly. I think it is clustering and product tier numbers, it definitely differ. These things.
Okay, so in other countries, they might be, for tier 1, they might have to sell like 400 or something.
Yeah. Yeah, for example, our tier 1 is, I think, about 700 or something. in Sri Lanka, yeah. So
Okay.
the numbers differ.
Yeah, because I was.
Yeah, then everything should be cluster one, yes.
Yeah.
So it differs. Then product tiers. This is for OGV. So to be, if you are doing less than 20 exchanges, then you're in tier 4, 20 to 32, tier 3, 33 to 65, tier 2. And if you can do more than 66 OGV, you'll be in tier 1. Okay. And outgoing global talent and entrepreneur, OGET. Now that global entrepreneur and global talent follow the same amounts in tiers but have different strategies for growth. So for both of those products, we have like one system when it comes to tiering them. For tier 4, 1 to 12, and 13 to 21 in tier 3, 22 to 31 to tier 2. And you only need to do 32 to be in tier 1. So you can have tier 1 in OGET. And IGV is 1 to 6 for to be in tier 4, and 7 to 12 to tier 3, 13 to 25 tier 2, and more than 26 exchanges will be tier 1. And IGT and IGE tier 4, 8 to 18 tier 3, 19 to 35 tier 2, and more than 36 tier 1. So OGV has like the highest number to be in tier 1. They need have like 66 to be in tier 1, and then IGT around 36, and then OGE and OGT 32, and IGV is like the easiest, only 26. So let's try to aim for a higher tier as possible. Then you will end up at in tier 2 if your target to be in tier 1, especially those 3 entities, your entities performing well. So you can target for higher tiers from the beginning itself. So always remind your exchange VPs about these things too. They might only focusing on delivering exchanges, not about the tiering systems, clustering and stuff. Those documentation part is mostly under finance people. So rewind them, because when they try to achieve those numbers, when they focus to achieve the higher tier, like automatically they do higher exchanges and come to. So let's try to motivate them using these things. Now you just don't have to motivate by telling you have proof in a document now. This is like a good reason for motivate them to achieve this tier, end up in a good cluster. In growth model, every product is related to growth strategies, which are part of the OD model booklet. These are strategies and ways of operating defined to mature that product and increase the level of exchanges. These strategies are continuously developed by Isaac in Virgin. Organizational health criteria. Here you'll find some important information. These criteria are following the delivery of exchange, productivity, and financial health indicators that are needed to deliver operations in a healthy way. So organizational health is measured, including the financial reserves as well in the system. No matter how many exchanges you deliver, no matter which cluster you are in, you need to consider about your financial situation as well. If you are investing a lot and if you don't have any profit or any reserves in the bank, even you do a lot of exchanges, you will not appear in the clusters unless you are financially strong as well. So exchange standards delivery. Each exchange participants need to have every exchange standard fulfilled as tracked by the MC following a positive answer to completed questionnaire. This is mostly for exchange VPs, because you know now AI is changed to have this completion thing to calculate the numbers. So we need to make sure we are delivering the standards properly. That's why it is included. And member productivity, the member productivity as presented per cluster is the minimum the LC that needs to deliver. It is calculated by the amount of exchanges divided by the amount of members. So when we are clustering the LCs, this is another criteria apart from the exchange numbers. So exchange numbers, first we decide in the basis of tier system, and then we decide in which cluster that LC should be. And the next thing we are taking consideration is the productivity. So productivity is calculated like how many exchanges you are delivering, and we divided it from the total numbers. So if you are delivering 100 exchanges, and if you have 100 members, your productivity is 1. We are calculating this clustering system. So to be in cluster 5, you need to have 0.5 or higher productivity. To be to cluster 4, 0.75 or higher. If you have productivity level of 1, you are in cluster 3, and 1.25 productivity level, you are in cluster 2, and to be in cluster 1, you need to have 1.5 or higher productivity level. So for example, with having around 30-40 members, you will have to deliver around 60 or 80 exchanges to be in cluster 1 as well. So it is not only about trying to achieve numbers just by recruiting a lot of members, you need to maintain certain productivity level as well. Then every LC needs to have minimum 70% exchange income as recommendation of the Global Finance Board. So this is something you need to keep tracking on. Yes, this is something.
Sorry.
This is mostly for us to track this thing. Every LC needs to have minimum 70% exchange income. So we need to make sure where our income comes from, and to calculate this every time to see whether we have this required percentage. So remind those numbers. Maybe you can take notes of those numbers in somewhere else later on when you are going through this again. Otherwise, you might forget. So every LC needs to have a minimum of 70% exchange income. And this amount excludes any alumni donations, conference income, governmental institutional grants, and university subsidies. Cluster 5 and 4 LCs needs to have 6 financially sustainable months as calculated by the MC Finance responsible following the financial model. So, like, definitely every LC should be in cluster 5 or 4 or 3. Ideally, even the entities that are performing very low in exchange numbers, even they are in cluster 5, still they need to have financial sustainable months, around 6 months. So right now, I think there are LCs with 2.9, 2.6. So once the OD model is implemented, they might see this as real trouble. So that is why it is important to have.
What is this real trouble? Can they be disbanded, or
if OD model implementation is going to be included under membership criteria, we are discussing that as well, right? Because we need to make sure all the LCs are using OD model. After creating this, after huge effort, after implementing this, if LCs are not following OD model, then no point. We can't ask like people who want to follow the OD model, you can follow, others you don't need. And 4 or 5 LCs following OD model, others not, then there's no point. We need to make sure all the LCs are following OD model. So the best way maybe to include this under membership criteria, the following of OD model. If you only have that clause, to be a full member, you need to follow all the regulations in OD model. Then all these things will be a membership criteria automatically as well. Then they need to have a financial sustainable month. But for that, we need to discuss again towards February, because in case only around 2-3 LCs have more than 6 months financial reserves, then we'll end up with only 3 full member LCs. That can't happen as well. So best thing is to motivate the LCs to have more financial reserves, financially strong, because 6 months is not that difficult. Only 2 or 3 LCs, only 2 LCs were around below 3, others were above 3. So pushing it up to 6 is not that difficult. So this is something I'll be personally tracking as well for them to make them financially sustainable for more than 6 months, towards December. So by February, they will be okay when OD model comes to implementation. Then LC becoming or staying cluster 3 needs to have 9 financially sustainable months as calculated by MC Finance Responsible following financial model. So if with the current calculation I have, Leno has 9 point something.
Yes.
With the current calculations I have, Leno have around 9 months. I'm not sure whether it's correct or not. You can calculate again. So if you are going to be in cluster 3, we don't know exactly which will fall under which cluster by February. But if you're going to be end up in cluster 3, you need to make sure you have financial reserves for more than 9 months. So it will be your, especially your responsibility.
And the calcul, you based your calcul on how many months before?
This is before, like, for the financial reserves, it's like the previous term because we are now implementing this from February. So ideally, we'll be calculating back from January, 12 months back from January.
Okay.
An LC becoming or staying in cluster 2 or higher needs to have 12 financially sustainable months as calculated by the MC Finance Responsible following the financial model. When we are going up in clusters, it is not easy. But for you to, I think, have around 40, 30 months. If you also have 30 months, then these are simple criteria for you guys. But yeah, so that is it. Like, even financial regulations becoming tougher when you're moving up to clusters. Productivity increases, the target numbers, sustainability months, like all, all the functions need to be upgraded when you are moving up in clusters. That's how you can be like so healthy as an organization. So that is like the whole overview of the OD model, and then we have another criteria for health, organizational health criteria review. The review for organizational health criteria happens by looking into the accomplishment of each criteria. In case an SC misses 2 criteria by review deadline, they will be decreased in cluster until the next attainable cluster. In case an LC misses 1 criteria by review deadline, they will have to recover the missed criteria by next review. In case the LC was not able to recover the missed criteria, they will be decreased in cluster until the next attainable cluster. In case an LC misses 1 criteria by review deadline, recovers it by the next review deadline, but miss another criteria, they will decrease in cluster until the next attainable cluster. So that is also like something similar to membership review. We are reviewing the performances in terms of OD model. So if they are not achieved those criteria, they will be like declared in clustering systems. But in case if we included that clause and the membership criteria that every LC should follow the OD model, then these criteria will affect the membership as well. Right now, this is only affecting the clustering system. If you are not performing, you will be just downgraded in clustering system, not as member inherit or something. But if we included this into membership criteria, then it will affect the membership as well. Right now, our idea is to implement it into membership criteria. So it's better to be prepared for that. So that is about OD model. Ring 9. Let's take a break first, like 3 minutes.
Okay.
Are there any other chapters you need to procedures? You can financial regulations. Yeah, we'll go through that. Financial model, you guys know, right? You have anything? You should know because you're already sending invoices and stuff. So maybe we'll go through the financial regulation part and finish the company part and go to budgeting. Otherwise, going through whole company will take 6. Won't go till 6. We'll go to financial regulation. It also has 4 pages. the supposed number of 4 GB, right, to be in cluster 3?
No, we're aiming at 20, but we have IGTs. They're 23, I thought. So, but
That's perfect. That's so cool.
yeah, but if we lose Nokia, I think, or if we lose some, and Henri wanted to have a backup, but I think if you don't make it, you lose a product and you lose a lot of profit. So I think it's a good motivation, but I think it's maybe aimed a little bit too high.
Mhm.
Okay.
So for us, it's going to be OGV because the other products we have only 3 per year. But it's a big revenue stream because 3 IGTs. I don't know by heart, but it's more than 2,000 that you get from it.
Yeah.
So losing that would mean a lot of money for us because our entire flow is like 10,000 a year, I think. So solely on the OGVs, and we'll have to cut down on spending. But I guess that we can get in cluster 3 with the OGVs that we can get 20. Hopefully.
You will, because it's based on 12 months.
Yeah, for this year, yeah. But
I think we're at 19
It is
in
really
one and a half. We miss only one.
Do IXP OGVs also count? Yeah.
No?
ESP is
Yeah.
as OGV. This is only OGV.
Yeah.
You need to do 20 OGV.
Yeah, for the
But-
past 12 months or something.
You can do 2 products and you lose like IGT, so maybe it's like you need a different how do you say that? Maybe not lose IGT but other
Mhm.
product.
IGE.
Yeah.
OGE.
OGE for example.
Because we have like around 2 OGEs, but
Yeah.
then we lose the OGEs. Yeah. Yeah, that wouldn't be.
Then that motivational part won't be there. People will think, oh, we'll just do OGV, then it's fine.
It's nice to have all 3 products because then you can serve everyone. Do you want to go volunteering? No, but you don't want to go abroad for 6 months. Okay, then we have an OGE. You want to go abroad for more than 6 months? Okay, we have OGT, and then it's 3 different things. And it's nice that you can.
Oh no, we have
3
18 at IGT, so we're in tier 3. 2
IGT is 18.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last term we were at 5. And it's already a lot for us.
Yeah, because
It was historical. 18. You see?
If you
you have a personal butler for the EV.
But yeah, if we lose that, we lose a lot.
Mhm.
But this is only a planning. It's not like we did that last year, because I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know why. If I was LCP, I
don't
wouldn't
know.
vote for this.
Yeah. But it's too late.
Yeah.
Yeah, when it comes to financial aspect of this, I'm seeing that you're going to lose a lot of your revenue from those things. If, for example, if all these 3 LCs not going to do IGT, we'll lose a lot of money.
Would you vote for it?
Sorry?
Would you vote for it?
It depends.
Yes or no? If you have to
Right.
vote right now.
If I was in a situation like Lelano right now, like missing OGV by 1 and then not being able to do IGT, if there's a situation like that, I think that is going to be so tough for that LC because they are performing in all functions, just missing by 1 exchange.
Okay, maybe this year they could have like 20 and then next year 19. So,
Mhm.
and then they're.
I'm like 60% against it. But I know this model helps as well because now, so far what I used is to do IZ with these type of models. We have this model in Sri Lanka. We were using it last MC term as well, and that was so effective for awarding when it comes to awards. Like they have like big competition among LCs that drives those LCs to do huge number of exchanges.
Yeah, but if you have one bad year, then everything's ruined.
Yes, like I don't know. So far, I have seen the effective in a better side. Like from where I come from, I have seen it in a better because we do that number of exchanges by these models because this definitely have some impact. But when it comes to this country's reality, even I have doubts. I'm not totally gonna guess I'm gonna vote for this for sure. No, I don't have that mind.
There should be something in there like unless the MC agrees to let you do the other products, so something that you can decide.
Because even keeping those accounts after doing those exchanges for those number of years will be difficult again.
Yeah.
And also covering up that gap. We already lose job fairs and still we are struggling to cover up that thing. So it will be like similar type of situation if like losing IGT. It's like the second revenue source. It's like we are losing second one as well. So it has effects definitely. So but we'll see. This is like a model came up with after working so much of time with the LCPs as well.
Yeah,
So they,
if they voted for it, we'll do
so
it.
yeah, maybe they have seen some positive aspects as well with their experiences, which I don't have by working here.
This is very strict.
Yes, but yes, I totally see your mindsets as well. I might be in the same shoes. I'm not thought it if I was the LCP. From my point of view as LCP, I don't like my LC losing a product that I'm doing pretty well. So that will be my personal mindset.
And this will be also negative for the MC because you get the VB from it.
But I don't know what might be those accounts they have shifted to MC. Yeah, MC can directly help because we can tell those companies this sales is not doing IGT anymore. We can't send you intents.
Oh, and then you'll
then we will get more cash.
Okay, yeah, I get it now. Yeah.
Not the idea behind this model.
Now I know who wrote it. Yes.
So that's why because it has like two different aspects, but from the LC sides, it's tough when it comes to money. But for their ultimate goal, this might be effective as well. Because when we take Isaac in Belgium as a whole, no matter how many IGT we do, we have stagnated with doing 200 to 300 exchanges. Yeah. We need to break that barrier somehow. Because we can do more than 500 for sure. By 2020, we can achieve more than 500. Because in European entities also, they do a lot of exchanges. It's not about the region we are in or the country. Country-wise, this is like one of the best among all networks. So there is some barrier. So we need to break that barrier. Maybe this might be that. Yeah. So let's see. Okay. Let's go for finance regulations part. Starting with MCVP, finance and legal. So it's mostly for me. Obligations. Yeah, so you can see what my obligations are. MCVP, finance and legal, and MCP are the ultimate responsibility of financial sustainability of ISAC in Belgium. MCVP, finance and legal, and MCP are responsible for the financial control of ISAC in Belgium. MCVP, finance and legal, and MCP are responsible for the correct closing of the financial year. This includes facilitating the process of external audit and creation of annual accounts of their term. MCVP, finance and legal, is responsible for the budget execution of all financial processes. MCVP, finance and legal, has obligation for transparency in front of the national plenary and the national team. MCVP, finance and legal, should provide information about the budget execution within 1 week after a request via email, MC or EB member. MCVP, finance and legal, should provide guidance and support to MCs and expansions in their financial and legal operations. Rights. MCVP, finance and legal, has the right to access any financial information of LCs and expansions after request by email to to the LCVP Finance and Legal and LCP. All LCVP Finance and Legal or other responsible should provide the requested information in maximum 1 week. If the information is not provided within 1 week, MCVP Finance and Legal can issue a fine of €300 to the LC that does not provide the information. So provide the information. Okay, that's another revenue source. Bank. MCVP Finance and Legal, MCP, and one another MC member should be authorized with the rights to operate the bank accounts of ISAC in Belgium. All transactions from current account should be authorized by both MCVP Finance and Legal and MCP. For transactions from or to the savings account are needed to signatures of MCVP Finance and Legal, MCP, and one more MC member. For transactions from the development fund account are needed the signature of MCVP Finance and Legal, MCP, and BOA member. All possible transactions from the development fund are regulated by the development fund rules in Chapter 9 on this compendium unless the GA decides otherwise. So in MC, we have like 3 accounts: savings account, current account, and this development fund. So whenever I'm paying salaries from the operational account, I use my sign and then Miriam should sign. But whenever we are withdrawing money from the savings account to the operational account, I should sign, Miriam should sign, and one MC member should sign. Okay. And then when we are taking money from the development, then I should sign along with Miriam and one BOI member. Right now that is Michael who is signing, who is assigned in the bank to sign. So that is how the accounting system works in MC. MC budget. 3 more pages, I'll go fast. MC budget each year. The MC budget has to be voted in the National Plenary during the General Assembly of ISAC in Belgium in September. The majority needed for an approval of 2/3 of all LCs with the member committee, Vice President Finance and Legal will send the final proposed budget to all LCPs and LCVP Finance and Legal at least 7 days before the GA where this budget will be voted. Legal will present the final proposed budget be voted. In case the budget is not approved, MCVP Finance and Legal has 2 weeks period to adopt it and propose it for voting on next GA. MC budget will be constructed based on the requirements in 8.5.3. After replanning, MCVP Finance and Legal will send the National Plenary the updated version of the budget. If there is an increase more than €5,000 per expense budget item compared to the initial budget, the budget will be voted again at a GA. MCVP Finance and Legal will send the finalized realized budget of his term within 3 months of the end of the term. The realized budget will be voted as well in the procedure of 8.1.12 and the following articles. Accountancy. The MCVP Finance and Legal will organize a double entry bookkeeping system. In doing so, it will respect all regulations provided by the Belgian law and this compendium. So that's why for accountancy we use Exact Online. That is by part of respecting to the regulations provided by Belgian law. We need to use Exact Online. And budget, yeah, I'll show my budget for you guys today as well, and I'll share it later on. Still
Okay.
some modification to make, but you can see, you will be the first people to see that budget. That was mostly, it was going to end up with a loss as well, but I made sure it's going to be a profit somehow. Because we can't vote for a budget with a loss. I don't know how you do it, but it is not that normal to go through them.
What is your
Yeah.
budget like? Or the previous year? Is it profits?
Mostly, yeah. But that is also with some kind of tough targets for IGT. But with the realistic targets of them, we need to find some other source to cover. But
Okay. How much profit do you have on the MC?
right now it will be around,
Okay.
it might reduce to 300. It might reduce to 300 depending on some more numbers I need to clarify, because PD team, they are not presented here because they are on planning yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So they will come up with numbers depending on the variations of those numbers. It might be a loss or as more profit, but there are some more numbers we need to cover from OGX, which we didn't do so far. I'll explain when I'm presenting the budget. There are things, new concept we are going to have this term, to have virtual expansions and do OGV through those virtual expansions, so that income will directly come to MC. Those are the things we are going to cover those gaps this term. Otherwise, it is still tough to cover the money we lost from job fairs. Okay, we'll talk about budget soon. We'll go through this first. After it, yes. External audit. An external audit on MC finances by an audit firm should be performed at the end of the term. This report will mainly cover the closing balance of the past member committee's term. MCVP Finance and Legal, MCVP PD, and MCP of the term that is audited will answer all the necessary questions during the process of the audit and provide all need information. Internal audit. The internal audit of all LCs part of ISAC in Belgium should be executed by the internal audit subcommittee. At least 4 LC members should be mandated as part of internal audit subcommittee during the GA in September. Chair of internal audit subcommittee will be finance and legal or by him appointed finance and legal NST member who will be preferably independent. Until the end of October, the IAS should send a checklist to all SCVPs, finance and legal, and SVPs that includes all topics of the audit. The SCVPs, finance and legal have 1 month to prepare for the audit. Internal audit subcommittee will physically all LCs in all points of the checklist. The LCVPs have obligation to cooperate to IAS. The IAS should provide to report for all conducted audits within a week of the audit to MCVP Finance and Legal, MCP, LCVPs and LCPs, and the MC member who is the coach of the LC. All instructions of IAS are mandatory for LCVPs, Finance and Legal. All LCVPs, Finance and Legal have to provide all required information to IAS. In case of refusal, the IAS should report the case in front of the National Committee at the next GA. Request an additional audit by internal audit subcommittee anytime. Reimbursements. Anyone who is a member of a local committee or member committee can ask for a reimbursement from the member committee. The member needs to fill in the form provided by MCVP Finance and Legal with explanation of the reason behind the expense and to attach the ticket, receipt, or invoice that proves the expense. All reimbursements must be signed for approval and hence refunded by MCVP. Reimbursements which amount exceeds €100, the expense note will be signed by MCP and MCVP Finance and Legal. All reimbursements that fulfill requirements and are within the budget limit will be paid by MCVP Finance and Legal within 1 month after submitting. If not within the budget limit, the MCVP Finance and Legal has the right to decide whether it is. Local committee budgets. Each LC must have a budget for all its operations. We have types of budgets: planned operational LC budget for upcoming term, realized operational budget for the previous term, conference budget when LC organizing a conference, event budget when LC organizes an event, track department budget, separate investment budget, other in case additional financial details are needed for some activities. You don't need to have all these budgets. It depends with what activity or what events you are doing, but ideally you should have the first two for sure. The membership. The planned and realized LC budget should be submitted and approved by email from MCVP Finance and Legal template, having a monthly structure without VAT, constructed by accrual method. Planned operational LC budget will be sent via email to MCVP Finance and Legal within 1 calendar month from the official start of the LC term, approved by all EB members of the LC. 3 months after the official start of the planned operational budget should be voted by the local General Assembly. The LCVP Finance and Legal should send a proof of voting to MCVP Finance and Legal within 1 week of the General Assembly. After replanning or any kind of other review of the operations of the LC, the updated budget will be sent to MCVP Finance and Legal. The realization of the budget should be tracked on weekly basis by LCVP Finance and Legal. For deviation more than 30% between planned and realized, the LCVP Finance and Legal will report to MCVP Finance and Legal. MCVP Finance and Legal can provide, in case it's needed, mandatory action steps to LC. So yeah, here also it says the realization of the budget should be tracked on a weekly basis. Update the budget on a weekly basis. And also it says that if there is a deviation of more than 30%, you can ask advices or any mandatory action from MC side, from me especially. So that's why I said if you have that spreadsheet shared with me, I can track it weekly. Otherwise, you'll have to email me the budgets on a weekly basis, which is going to be a lot of emails. So you can have it. We can have one common tracker for all LCs, and in that one common folder, in that you can upload your own budgets. So I can do everything. MCVP Finance and Legal will report the financial overview after each Q review of the national team to the national plenary, or at least after replanning and closing of the financial year. If no Q review is planned, MCVP Finance and Legal report the financial overview monthly to the national team. LCVP's Finance and Legal will report the financial overview to their UBs monthly. The report should include bank statements and overview of cash transactions. So are you guys reporting with bank statements and all monthly in a monthly basis? Or will not you try? You are doing it? Are you doing it?
Oh, sorry.
Are you reporting in EB meetings like monthly basis with the bank statements and all the cash transactions?
Not during the EB meetings, but yeah, every 3 months.
This time I might need your bank statements as well to start at the start of the term for me to get an overall idea about this. Yeah. So, if possible, send it to me soon. I will write an email requesting for that, but you guys can. LCVP's Finance and Legal will submit the GFB reports within the deadline. LCVP Finance and Legal or membership subcommittee as part of membership criteria. LCVP's Finance and Legal will submit monthly the financial reports to MCVP Finance and Legal using the provided by So this template, like now you are using that monthly template, but I think we can switch to that GFB template for monthly reporting as well. So that is it. Finance model is the same model. We didn't change it yet, but we can change if we want.
Reduce VA.
Oh no! Unless we are going to increase VA. VA is too low. Because we are covering only very small proportion of the overall MC budget from the LCs, from PD sales that are doing from MC side. Around more than 70%. 80% is covered from them. So we are only covering small proportion from LCs.
Other country, like in Sri Lanka, the MC was totally covered by the LCs. Yes. So yeah,
it's totally like MCs kind.
Do they have the same prices in Sri Lanka? No, they're lower there, or do they have the same product prices in Sri Lanka, or they're lower there?
Prices. I think when converting it's lower. When you convert into Sri Lankan rupees, it is lower. For example, IGT, 200, something less than 500 euros. So they are cheap. IGV products, it's around $100. So it's mostly something around 100 euros as well. Like the main product there, and even other prices are lower. So yes, Price of the
IGV here is only for 50 euros, no?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
does anyone have an IGV?
We have already one.
Do you have
Really?
IGV?
Yeah, two.
What's happening there?
Don't know.
Where do they come from?
One from Africa, the second one. Oh, I don't know.
Because that is with the market research as well. Because I know, for example, if they know there's good market for IGV here, Sri Lanka will come. No, I mean, it
Not
depends
here.
with the projects we design from LCs. If we can come up with a nice project,
Oh,
as a country, people like to come here. A lot of Sri Lankans goes to Italy, Poland, Hungary for OGV.
Mhm.
A lot of people goes. So for Belgium, it is not that popular among the market because from our side, we are not doing good marketing here, I guess. Do yeah, as IMC we are planning to.
what can you really do here as volunteering?
Work in an NGO.
Yeah, but
Projects we need to create some projects. We can figure out some issues. There are beggars here as well.
Yeah, of course, man.
Some kind.
I would
of
rather help in, I don't know, Africa than in here in
Mhm.
Belgium. I think
Yeah,
they need it
yeah.
more. So
Yeah, I wouldn't go to Belgium for
no,
for
me neither.
OGE or OGT. Yeah.
Yeah, I would go to the Netherlands. No. No.
don't know how ideal is to compare it with Sri Lanka, but because there we only have one common account. LCs.fund, I don't give it. Right?
Yeah.
So, like all the budget is anyway covered from LCs. Yes, from the whenever we also all the loans shared among them. So all MC members' salaries are covered from LCs as well. So everything should, because MC is not doing any operation at all.
But why do they have only one account? Because they can easily make separate accounts.
No, because only MC is registered as a
Oh
company.
yeah, okay, just yeah, that was.
Others are not registered. They are like working as under the universities. They are working as a society or a club. They are working. But ISAC Sri Lanka is registered as a company. Not as an NGO. They are registered as a company. So everything is they are submitting all the documents, invoices to MC. All LCVP finance comes to the MC office weekly, and they have folders for all the LCs in MC office.
Weekly.
So, yeah, mostly.
Isn't it
So
a lot of travel to?
Not that much. Sometimes 1 hour and 1.5 hours as well. Depends with the hour. Mostly.
How big is Sri Lanka?
You need to check the geography. It's bigger than.
Yeah,
but
sorry. It's,
population-wise, I think population is higher than in Belgium.
yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, double or something.
20 million population.
Yeah, sorry, it's really off topic.
But yeah,
21
they
million.
Double.
yeah, so they travel like, but the problem is, so far as I said, when we had 4 LCs, they all were based on Colombo, the main city in Sri Lanka. Our MC office is also in Colombo, so for them it's like 1 hour travel still. But now we have this 5th LC outside Colombo, which they have to travel around 3.5 hours. So they usually don't come once a week, but still they come at least once a month to send it to some person to file them in the MC. Because audit is done only for MC account. We need those. That is how it goes. They pay for all the salaries. They are paying a lot of fees. All the exchanges are done from MC sides. MC doesn't do even one single exchange. No IGT, OGV, IGV. MC is not doing any operations. They just set the strategies. And only 4 members are from doing MC members, all are doing part-time. So they don't do any operations much. They just set the strategies and ask LCs to deliver this, and then they deliver. So that's how it is. So here actually PA is kind of low because covering less than 30% of the MC budget. Because the main reason is in case if MC goes bankrupt, if MC closed down, then ISAC is gone from the country. You can't operate LC. AI is not operating from LCs. You need to have MC. So So in case if we go bankrupt one day, if we can't deliver good IGT sales, if we can't cover all our costs from IGT, right now the other income source we have is the affiliation fee. So far we are getting a smaller percentage from exchange fees. So if we can't cover that or the cost, it will be tough. But there will be some options in later on, reducing the MC sites, reducing some salaries, introducing some part-time MC roles. There are options like that. Apart from that, unless we are increasing fee, we can't decrease it for sure. Because MC need to be sustainable. So that is it. Now we can close live stream. Thank you guys for watching from live stream.